Are you a chiropractor looking to grow your practice fast or even open up multiple locations? If you are in the right place. And today I'm going to go over the fundamental 3 things that if you don't have in your practice, you can't even think about scaling. Let's go. So we all have our expectations of how fast our practice should grow, and if you're a little underperforming, hey, there's a big group of doctors that are, and we're going to give you the exact steps in this video and the numbers to track to show you that you're moving in the right direction so that we can match your expectations with your performance. And by the end of this video, I'm even going to show you how to accelerate that performance, so stick around to the end. So let's go ahead and dive into step number 1. And in today's industry, it's really easy to get comparing ourselves. With social media, you're seeing other practices explode. And what we found with working with well over 1,000 practices in our community is that there's habits, there's very specific things that drive growth and acceleration. And we actually took all of those things and put them into an acronym that's the DRIVEN framework. And the E in DRIVEN is the one we're going to focus on for step number 1, and that is effective team meetings, which is a big difference between team meetings and effective team meetings. In fact, when I was going through my preceptorship, it was joining a practice where the practice owner would get up and really talk about the things that he felt needed to be improved in the practice. There wasn't as much team engagement. And I'm happy to say we've really built a framework for team meetings that is driven by the office manager, driven by the team coming with numbers to report, the team coming with the strategy to improve this. And we wrap this into the cadence of accountability. When you have a cadence, a regular rhythm where the team knows they need to show up and responsible, this changes the team meeting. It changes the tone because, again, who wants to show up for a team meeting? It's their turn to report and they don't know what they're reporting on and they're not contributing. Your team wants to be able to contribute. They want to be a part of your growth. They want to be a part of your vision. And the great brands out there that are scaling, especially to multiple locations, this is a fundamental piece. My favorite time for the effective team meeting was on Mondays. Mondays right after lunch. It's because you have the morning to review last week, to prepare for the team meeting, have a little break after your morning sprint, and now come back ready to meet as a team. And if we hit our goals, oftentimes we would wrap a team lunch into the team meeting to celebrate and reward them for doing such a great job the prior goal period. So effective team meetings, you've got to have them in. And if you're loving this content, I want you to give me a little snap, crackle, pop, and pop that like button. Hit it! And I want you to adjust those notifications, turn them on, so you don't miss a single great episode as we release these videos regularly. Now let's jump into step number 2, which is clarity on your roadmap. Now, most practice owners are in a rhythm. They kind of get stagnant with the services that they're delivering to their patients. They kind of fall into a rhythm of what they're used to. And it's really important to have a 6 to 12 month roadmap of how you're improving your patient experience. What are the pieces that you want to fit in? And there's really 2 ways to scale a practice, and that is more office visits. We do that by attracting more patients or retaining more of the ones that we have. Or the second roadmap is increasing services to the patients we already have and increasing the value of each service that we're giving. In my own practice, I started off as a pretty high volume practice. I was seeing anywhere from about 100 to 130 patient visits a day by myself. And that was pretty tiring, pretty exhausting, but it was good money and it was getting a lot of people better and exposed to chiropractic. And I really decided I wanted to add more services to my facility, and I really liked the structural work that Pettibon and CBP was doing in our community. So I went through their certification programs. I began to add a lot of rehab to my practice. And I was able to pair the chiropractic work with my rehab work. And I had some space and I started adding those services. And then later down the road, spinal decompression became a thing. And I saw the benefits of those. And I was able to add that service and begin attracting patients that needed that specific level of care. And then laser therapy became a thing. And I saw the benefits of that. But all of those things take energy. They take attention to implement those into your office. And it's very important that you don't create too much turbulence in your growth roadmap because your team can only handle so much change at a time. And so you want to create this 6 to 12 month roadmap. At this step, we're going to implement this. And at this point, we're going to implement that. And we give the team a little bit of announcement, a little bit of warning that this is what's coming. And we're doing this because we want to serve our patients at a higher level. We want to attract higher complex conditions, higher value. We want to spend more time with patients in our service centers to produce an amazing patient outcome. We went from seeing, that volume to a little bit lower volume, but actually producing more production. And because those service centers were automated by team members and equipment, it didn't take a lot of my time. And I was able to build a very profitable practice and a very competent team and really drive the growth of that practice. And if you want to join a community that's really obsessed about this, about adding value services into their practice, come join our free Facebook group. It's called the Data Driven Practice. It's the booming community out there. If you're not a member of it, oh man, you are missing out. Click the link below, join today. Let's jump into secret number 3. This step is powerful, and you heard me talk a little bit about it in effective team meetings in the Driven Framework. As we really look at the R in the Driven Framework, we look at responsible. What is a team member responsible for? And when we have a team that's cross-trained and everybody kind of is doing everything, we have a jack of all trades, masters of none. And I am a big, big believer in having experts. It's experts that drive a system, and they become responsible for the product of that system that we measure by a KPI being a key performance indicator. We have very specific outlined key performance indicators in the practice. And when you know those and the team member comes to report those, you have to go through a transitional process where you sit down with the team. You talk about them becoming responsible for a very specific KPI. We kind of hand off that KPI and train them on how to become responsible. Think about the concept of first responders, right? Somebody who drives an ambulance, somebody who's an EMT that shows up to the scene of an accident. They don't just naturally know how to get a person out of the car. Can you imagine operating the jaws of life? Just, hey, go ahead and use that piece of equipment and peel open that automobile. That doesn't just happen. That takes training, expert training. And that's what you're developing in your practice. Expert training for who's responsible. They become the first responder that when that KPI begins to drop, they immediately jump in and begin to triage to improve it. So go back to step number 2 where we're talking about your service centers. The KPI that drives that is total adjusted production in the practice. And then we also look at the average adjusted production per visit. If that average production per visit is drifting, you got to have a team member that identifies that, immediately starts looking. Are we not prescribing enough modalities or other treatments? Are we not delivering enough of those? Are we not posting the codes for those to contribute that? That's what a driven team member does. That's what a responsible team member does. And the coolest thing is we've got now KPIs that monitor that, and we have team members showing up to effective team meetings to report on that. Can you feel the momentum that begins to pick up? This is why practices begin to scale. This is why practices become duplicatable. I just had a doc who heard me speak on stage at a conference, and they were kind of attracted to this concept of managing the practice by the numbers. And as they began to implement these systems, I asked them, where do you want to go? What do you want to build in your community? And, really it was just a single location. And I asked them, have you ever thought about opening up multiple practices? And him and his wife were like, no, there's no way. Like, it's taken 5 years to build this, and we're very happy with our cash flow, our lifestyle. I said, cool. I said, let's revisit that in 90 days. So 90 days later, as they started to see these things unfold, they really began to see the vision of, wow, this is a duplicatable model. This is a scalable system. And they even said, this is the best system we've ever seen in our industry. That's the power of this framework that I'm sharing with you. And if you want a taste of it, I'm going to give you an opportunity to come in and join a free 10-day challenge. This is 10 days where you get assignments, you do the work, and then you measure the data on how it impacts. How cool is that? To sample our community, to engage with us, and let us show you the power of this. Let us fill your collection pockets. Let us produce data into dollars for you, and then you decide, is this the best system you've ever seen out there? Come join us. Click the link below, and if you do, I will see you on the inside, and it will be an amazing 10 days.